Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to Daily Distinction. Really glad that you are here, and sorry for the mess up on the time. I was on a program, a conference call here the Saturday morning. It's noon now in Las Vegas, and with StreamYard, you have to set it up with Facebook at least 10 minutes in advance, and I hit the button at 10 till, but for some reason it didn't come through. So if you're getting in a minute late or two because of what was up about starting at 5 after, I apologize for that. Didn't get registered in time, but really glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being here today for Daily Distinction. Got a great topic today. I had the privilege yesterday. There was no Daily Distinction yesterday because I was on a program for a company called Action Coach. I had the privilege of speaking for Action Coach at a big meeting they had in Las Vegas. They were kind enough to ask me to come back, and gosh, what a lineup of speakers they had yesterday. It was such a thrill to be on it. Mari Smith, who is one of the leading people in the world when it comes to social media, was on. And my pal Jeffrey Gittimer, the king of sales, was on. And the speaker right before me was Marshall Goldsmith. And I just wanted to pass along to you. And as you know, here on the weekends, we talk for a short period of time, just kind of a check-in. It's not our typical 30-minute program. But what he said was just so profound that I wanted to pass it along. But before we do, a couple things for you that before we get into the 5 things that Marshall Goldsmith asks on a daily basis. I want to say hey to Brian. Good to be back. Thank you for being here, Brian. I appreciate that. Charles, beautiful San Jose. And thanks for the comments that you made online as well. I saw those, and I appreciate those so much. Weldon, good to see you. Glad you are here. Robert, always good to see you. Thanks so much. Hey, Joseph Jaffe, how are you? If you haven't seen it yet, it's in, check down on our Daily Distinction page on Facebook or on YouTube. You can see where Joseph was the guest, and I got so many great comments, Joseph, when you were here. I really, really appreciate that. Cheryl, always great seeing you. Thanks. I appreciate our conversation. Scott, having a terrific day so far. Hope everything is good with you. And Brian, yeah, it was one of those programs I loved attending. It was a privilege to speak to it, but man, oh man, I loved attending it. It was just extraordinary. So I'm going to tell you the 5 things that Marshall Goldsmith asks himself every day. And this is the guy that's been cited as the #1 coach in the world. And here are the 5 questions that he asks himself to coach himself on a daily basis. But before we do that, big announcement for you. And the big announcement is not only do you need to save the date, stand out and earn more. And by the way, let me tell you why we're calling it Stand Out, Earn More. I did this yesterday with a group. I asked them if they would to name the most distinctive companies that they see. And we used a tool that we're going to talk about in our post-pandemic events program, but it's a tool that you can answer on your smartphone, and it immediately posts as we're doing a live presentation. It pops up live. So it was so cool because you see what people are saying. And as you can imagine, they're answering Apple and Amazon and Starbucks and Nike. And then I said to them, just do a Google search on what the most profitable companies in the world are. And it's Amazon and Apple and Nike, and it's the same companies. Now, it's important to get the order right. It's not that because they're so profitable, they became distinctive. It's because they're so distinctive that they've created so much profit. When you stand out, you earn more. You earn more respect, you earn more attention, you earn more customers, you earn more business, and therefore you earn more profit. But yet there are these forces that pull us back to the pack like a magnet. That's what I've been studying for over a decade now. What are those and how do those work? So why we're calling it Stand Out, Earn More is that I know that there are a lot of entrepreneurs that go, well, I don't know that I could be distinctive, or I don't know. Well, you got to stand out from your competition. If you don't, customers don't choose you. You got to stand out from your competition, or else you won't get the promotion that you desire. You got to stand out from your competition, or else your child doesn't get in the school that you'd prefer. Somebody else's kids do. So it's all about how do we influence selection? How do we stand out so we earn more of what we want? That's what the Distinction Summit is all about. October 16th to 18th. So here's the big news. You're going to hear it today for the first time. Are you ready? And that is, ladies and gentlemen, the website is up and it is officially open for registration. Yes, you can now register for the Distinction Summit. Just go to distinctionsummit.com. Everything you need to know is there. Well, not everything, because we're going to be announcing special guest speakers. They're just going to blow you away, and more specific on the agenda. But you can go ahead and sign up now. And until Labor Day, there's a special early distinction pricing that you get to sign up for. That's $100 off of what the price goes to after Labor Day. So register now, take advantage of the early distinction pricing. And I just can't tell you how excited I am about this. This is going to be so amazing. It's so cool. I'm so excited about all the, and man, we've got some announcements coming up of some folks that are going to be a part of this that I think are just going to be thrilling for you. So glad you're here. Brian, there you go. Your seat is reserved. I appreciate that. So thanks so much. So make sure you save the date for that. So thanks to everybody for joining in today. Hey, Curtis, it was great to see you yesterday. Glad you are here and everybody is joining in. Jerry, never rest on one's laurels. The distinction must continue every day, week after week. Absolutely. You know, Jerry, it's so funny you mentioned that. I was talking to somebody about this a couple days ago. I was on television at least once a week in Indianapolis and Louisville for over a decade. And in Indianapolis, I anchored weekend news and I did movie reviews that were on Fridays and Sundays. And people watched me every week for a decade. And when I left that, for about 2 months, people would still say, "Oh, I see you on TV." And after 2 months, it stopped for exactly the reason that you're talking about, Jerry. If you're not on all the time, you're forgotten. If you are not on all the time, you are forgotten. So we got to continue to practice what makes us distinctive. Hey, Charles, you're exactly right. Joseph has one heck of a show. So, Temecula, Brian, you're all out there. So look forward to you signing up. Can't wait. Really excited for you. Other great things coming with the Distinction Summit. All right, here we go. So Marshall Goldsmith yesterday said, here he is ranked as the world's #1 coach, but he said, I still have to coach myself. And matter of fact, he has a coach, which I thought was interesting. But, it's kind of like what we talked about here before, that even Michael Jordan had a coach, even though he's the greatest basketball player in the world. LeBron James got a coach. Frank Vogel coaches that team. So here is how, though, Marshall Goldsmith helps coach himself. He has an external coach, but here's the questions that he asks himself every day to coach himself to higher performance. Number 1, have I set clear goals? And what are they? We have talked here before several times about the importance of specific goals. And he's using the word clear instead of the word I use, which is specific. But am I really clear about what my goals are? He asks himself that every day. Am I totally, thoroughly, completely clear about what my goals are for the future? Then the second thing that he says is, what am I doing today to work toward the achievement of those clear goals? So his daily planning revolves around, Stephen Covey called them the big rocks. We've talked about what's important rather than what's urgent. It's working daily towards those goals. So he asks himself every morning, what am I doing today to move myself toward the achievement of those clear goals? Isn't that good? I think that's really important. First 2 questions, what am I doing? Are my goals clear? And what am I doing to make that happen? Pam, yeah, you bet. At Wish TV. That's good. Hey, Charles, I am so excited that you're going to do that. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that you're going to be a part of that. That means the world. So, okay, have I set clear goals? What are my clear goals? What am I doing today to work towards those goals? Here's the third. How will I find meaning in this day? Because the other thing that he does is at the end of every day, he says, are my goals clear? What did I do today to move me toward the achievement of those goals? And how did I find meaning in this day? So by bookending your day, right? By asking yourself that at the beginning and at the end of every day, isn't that a great question? How did I find meaning in this day? He didn't say this, but part of what struck me in that is we talk about having a meaningful life. And you have known, and I've known people who, as they get toward the end of their life, they're either really happy or disconnected, sad about the meaning they established or the meaning they failed to establish in their life. But we tend to look at that as a life of meaning. And he didn't say it, but one of the things I took from that was simply this: a life of meaning is built in great part, in majority of finding meaning or making meaning of each day. If you can find some meaning in each day, and if you can make something memorable about each day, guess what? You have a life of meaning. As the great motivational speaker Ed Foreman used to say, if you do that today, you've had a good day. And if you have 7 of those in a row, what have you had? And the crowd will go, a good week. And you put 4 of those good weeks together, you got what? And they say, a good month. He says, yeah, the questions are getting harder. You put 12 of those months together, what do you have? Good year. And you put a bunch of those years together, and you've got a great life, finding meaning in every day. Fourth question he asks himself at the beginning of every day and at the end of every day is, what will I do today to build relationships? What will I do today? How am I planning this day to build and grow and enhance the relationships that I have? How will I strengthen existing relationships? What will I do to develop new relationships? How will I build relationships in this day? And finally, what will I do today to be happy? What is something I can do today that will cause happiness in my life? What will I do today that will make me happy? And at the end of every day, he will say, what did I do today that made me happy? So it might be something as simple as, sitting outside and enjoying a dish of ice cream. It doesn't have to be something major. It doesn't mean like I went to the beach today. That's what made me happy. Might be for some days, but it could be something as simple as just having a dish of ice cream. It could be something as simple as taking 30 minutes to read a novel that you had put off. It doesn't have to be something major, but it has to be something every day. What did I do today that made me happy? And I need to plan that and think about that and really focus on that to truly create the happiness in my life that I want. Because if you do something that makes you happy every day and you do that 7 days, and see how that, so those are, I think, 5 extraordinary questions to ask yourself. And when you do that, it can significantly change the value and the quality of your life. But it begins by asking yourself those questions. Hey, Carlos, great to see you. Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you for saying that about post-pandemic events. I'm humbled that you jumped in there and got that. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's review real quickly Marshall Goldsmith's five statements for every day. Have I set clear goals? Have I set clear goals for what I want in my life? Is the question you need to ask yourself every day. Then second, how am I going to work daily towards the achievement of these goals that I have established? Third, How will I find meaning in this day? How will I build relationships, create new relationships, or enhance the relationships I currently have in this day? And what will I do to be happy? It was interesting because here is, as we said, he's ranked as the number one coach in the world, and his clients are corporate titans, the CEOs of the most significant organizations in the world. And he said, I threw this last one at him. What did I do today to be happy? And he said, it's kind of interesting. There is almost like the first response is, well, I don't, what do you mean? Right? How do I find meaning in this day, and how am I going to be happy? I understand about building relationships. I need to build relationships because that'll improve my professional. And he said, this last one's the one that throws a lot of folks. What am I going to do today to be happy? And he said, remarkably, with many of the most successful from the outside, looking in, some of the most successful people in the world, this is the one that throws them. This is the one that they don't make time for. This is the one they don't plan for. And he said, it's likely the most important of all five. I encourage you to do what I'm doing. I'm going to get Tammy just bought a laminator, and I'm printing this out, and I'm going to laminate it, and I'm going to keep it with me. These 5 things that I need to ask myself every day as well. And maybe you do too. Hey, I'll check in again with you tomorrow. We do the short weekend edition, and I really appreciate you being here. I look forward to checking in again with you tomorrow. And don't forget, please set a reminder tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. It's the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott, with my pals Glenn Morshower and Ken Walls. And we're going to have a great time again tomorrow night. I hope you join us then. I hope you join me tomorrow on our next edition of Daily Distinction. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you again tomorrow.